So final stone here in the 6th, Bobe Kong. Needs the double for a potential deuce. Have to avoid jamming on their own top red. Uh-oh, they will. And where's that shooter gonna go? Spin around the horn, they'll pick up the single.
All right? Yeah.
And there you see the handshakes extended. So victory for Rachel Homan here in the women's quarterfinal matchup. Bobe Kong, a good try at that double is all she really had for a multiple score and trying to put herself back in it, but it won't.
Every World Cup has a story to tell. From the time football really did come home, to Lionel Messi's crowning glory, capturing the imagination of billions across the globe. This is football's greatest stage.
Ball passes to Hurst, and he scores England's third.
Lionel Messi, as I've fought probably 500,000 times in my life already, is yeah, probably the best player I saw during my lifetime. That's how it is.
Lionel Messi already had claims to the title of the greatest footballer in history before the 2022 World Cup. But victory in Qatar gave the Argentine a stranglehold on the mantle.
Everyone has his opinion, but nobody can doubt that he's there with the greatest all the time. For me, I said many times, I've been is the best. If he would not have won the World Cup, the opinion about what he has done for the world football, in my opinion, personal opinion, that how he's a player would not change absolutely anything.
Those things that Messi has done for world football are both tangible and esoteric. There's the record 8 Ballon d'Or awards, an Olympic gold medal, and the only 2-time winner of the FIFA World Cup Golden Ball. Then there's the manner in which those trophies have been achieved, the quick feet, the vision, the unrivaled ability to unlock the tightest of defenses. Messi was the jewel in the crown of the Barcelona side that dominated European football, allowing Pep Guardiola to perfect the most brilliant attacking style the game had ever seen.
I imagine that during Di Stefano's era, people used to say there was nobody like him. And then when Cruyff came along, people said there was nobody like him. With Maradona also, there was nobody like him. I will also mention Pelé because I don't want him to be offended. Nowadays, the throne belongs to this kid, and only he will decide until when.
Despite Messi's undoubted brilliance, the criticism hanging over him for the majority of his career was that he only performed at club level. 4 World Cups delivered only frustration, and the Copa America too remained out of reach. It seemed one of the most magical artists to ever grace the game was destined to leave unfulfilled. But age 34, entering the final act of his storied career, Messi left the home comforts of the Camp Nou for the unfamiliarity of the Parc des Princes. He went on to star in the 2021 Copa America, ending the tournament the top scorer and its best player. He lifted the trophy for the first time in his career in the most fitting stadium imaginable, Rio de Janeiro's Maracanã, home of arch-rivals Brazil. Finally, Messi and Argentina dared to dream.
There is a lot of excitement about a positive World Cup. We won the Copa America. After trying so many times, I finally managed to win a title with the national team. So after that trophy, there is a lot of excitement for what is ahead of us.
Messi's World Cup career began with back-to-back quarter-final exits in 2006 and 2010. At the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, he captained Argentina and dragged them almost single-handedly to the final. He also took home the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player, but was powerless to stop Germany capping their incredible renaissance. More heartbreak followed in 2018 in Russia, when a nervy group stage led to a round of 16 defeat to eventual champions France. But 2022 was the crowning glory. Despite a shock-opening defeat to Saudi Arabia, Messi guided the Albiceleste to the top of Group C, then scored in every knockout match as Australia, the Netherlands, Croatia, and finally France were overcome, the latter following a gripping penalty shootout. It was the fairy tale ending to a magical career.
I've always said that collective awards are better than individual ones. And for every player, to win a World Cup is the pinnacle.
So is there now any doubt over the mantle of the greatest?
He's the best footballer in the world, and the best of all time.
The record goalscorer in the history of La Liga, the most recorded assists in football history, and named in the FIFPro World 11 for a preposterous 17 consecutive seasons. Nobody has ever graced football's greatest stage, like Lionel Messi. England was the place to be in the swinging 60s. The hair was getting longer, the skirts were getting shorter. Football's biggest names were becoming mainstream celebrities, but not even George Best was as big as World Cup Willie, the face of the 1966 World Cup. England had won the right to stage the 8th tournament over rival bids from West Germany and Spain. And when the 16 teams gathered in London, the nation got behind the Three Lions as never before. Buoyed by the confident prediction of coach Alf Ramsey that England would win the World Cup for the first time. The Football Association was annoyed by Ramsey's confidence, feeling it put too much pressure on the team. especially as the clear favourites were the winners of the last 2 World Cups, Brazil, while other strong chances were given to West Germany, Uruguay and Hungary, ahead of the local team. But England had a couple of things going for them which they'd never previously had. The first, obviously, was home advantage, playing all their group matches at Wembley in front of passionate home fans. And the second was the new level of professionalism Ramsey had brought to the team's preparation. Training camps were longer and harder, and he made it clear there would be no favourites in team selection. Despite an opening round draw against Uruguay and an injury to their best striker Jimmy Greaves in the 3rd match against France, England topped their group without conceding a goal. Their task was helped when Brazil failed to progress from their group, virtually bullied out of the tournament by the hard-pressing tactics of defenders on Pelé, who was fouled so brutally and constantly that he vowed never to play at a World Cup again, a decision he fortunately rescinded. The West Germans had brought their A-game with captain Uwe Seeler and forward Helmut Haller in great form, and 20-year-old Franz Beckenbauer already showing the form that would make him a World Cup legend. A 0-0 draw between West Germany and Argentina left their group decided on goal difference, with England to play Argentina in the round of 16, and it was the replacement for Jimmy Greaves, Jeff Hurst, who scored the only goal in the 78th minute. The Argentines were convinced the goal was offside, but were even more incensed that they played the second half with 10 men after captain Antonio Ratin received his second caution. Ratin had to be escorted from the field by police, and the match was the start of the bitter rivalry between the two nations. Bobby Charlton delivered a brace against Eusebio's Portugal in the semi-final, a late penalty to the Golden Boot winner, the first goal Gordon Banks had conceded for the tournament. And when West Germany breezed past Uruguay and the Soviet Union to make the final, football's greatest stage was set.
97,000 people paid over £200,000 to see it, the greatest soccer game ever played in these islands. England in red instead of their usual white, never before in the World Cup final, but playing a team who've never beaten us before, West Germany, who won the Cup in 1954.
Greaves was ruled fit to return to the England team, but Ramsey decided to stick with the inexperienced Hurst. After Haller drew first blood 12 minutes in with his 6th goal of the tournament, the magnitude of Ramsey's decision would begin to unfold.
Only 6 minutes after Germany's opener, Bobby Moore is fouled by Overath. Moore takes the kick, and Jeff Hurst puts England level.
One all at half-time, the match settled into a dour struggle, Banks making several crucial saves before Martin Peters, one of 3 West Ham players in the team, alongside skipper Bobby Moore and Hurst, brought the crowd alive with a goal in the 78th minute.
With that superb shot, England are in the lead. If they can hold on for 13 more minutes, the championship is theirs. Then only 30 seconds from the whistle, a free kick for Germany. Weber has equalized. The World Cup has slipped from our fingers.
Despite the emotional roller coaster, England's players remained on their feet in the changeover as Ramsey pointed to the tired Germans and instilled the belief that his men were the fitter team. Then came the incident still talked about to this day.
Ball passes to Hurst, and he scores England's 3rd. The referee had to consult the Russian linesman before awarding the goal. It was strongly disputed on the grounds it hadn't crossed the line. Another camera angle may help you to decide for yourself.
Modern technology has determined to a reasonable certainty that the goal should have been disallowed. But the Germans had their chances to draw level again. But in the final minute, Moore's magnificent leadership in defence was crowned with a clearing pass to Hurst.
And Hurst goes through on his own. With his third goal in the game, Geoff Hurst confirms the victory beyond any shadow of doubt. From the Queen, Bobby Moore receives the trophy, the golden symbol of international supremacy.
Ramsey and his men celebrated wildly on the pitch, and the celebrations continued for hours back at the hotel, for days around the town, and for months and years after. Hat-trick hero Hurst's life changed that day, as did the life of Greaves, whose disappointment in missing selection for the final never left him. Greaves played 57 games for England, scoring 44 goals, the best strike rate of any of England's greatest scorers, and he still holds the record for the most hat-tricks, 6. But Ramsey's belief that Hurst was the safer bet symbolised his time as England coach. Hurst himself has always modestly claimed Greaves was the greatest striker in England's history.
Never thought I'd play for England, for start. I'm here today, some people know me because of the hat-trick and so on, but I wasn't the best player at school, I wasn't the best player in my district, I wasn't the best player at West Ham, I wasn't the best player in England. So, but I had a chance when sadly the great Jimmy Greaves damaged his shin against the French in the last qualifying game. So I had the opportunity to come in. And it's about young players, and the same with young players today, taking the opportunity which presents itself.
More than 50 years later, England are still waiting for their next opportunity to replicate their finest moment on football's greatest stage. Even the greatest players need direction, and on football's greatest stage, the director becomes even more important. While success might have seemed a given with the players at his disposal, Spain's 2010 World Cup winning coach Vicente Del Bosque was a master in man management. A tough defensive midfielder for 16 seasons with Real Madrid, he took on more the appearance of a kindly uncle mediating the rivalry and massaging the egos of the Barcelona and Real Madrid megastars in his team. Despite his links to Real stars like Iker Casillas and Sergio Ramos, he was also able to get the best out of Barca's Gerard Piqué, Xavi, and Andrés Iniesta. Del Bosque also showed an appetite for tactics and tic-tacs. Part of Del Bosque's magic was honing Spain's tiki-taka style. While his predecessor, Luis Aragonés, was the chief architect of tiki-taka within the Spanish setup, Del Bosque will go down as the man who perfected it. He was fated for great things from the outset, orchestrating a flawless World Cup qualifying campaign and becoming the first manager of any national team to claim 10 straight victories from debut. Del Bosque steered Spain for 114 games as manager over 8 years, amassing 87 victories, including the 2012 European Championship off the back of Spain's first World Cup victory in 2010. King Juan Carlos thought so highly of the performance, he canonized him as the first Marquis of Del Bosque. La Roja was seemingly cemented at the top of world football, but what followed was a major turnover of key players. The tiki-taka approach that had so baffled the world became unstitched in the year following the European Championship title defense, and Spain were eliminated in the group stage of the 2014 World Cup and the round of 16 at Euro 2016. Del Bosque announced his retirement, and the tributes were long and generous. His legacy untarnished. Having managed Real Madrid at the turn of the century, he's held aloft as the first manager in history to win the Champions League, the European Championship, and the World Cup. Ensuring the first Marquis of Del Bosque goes down as a master director on football's greatest stage. The list of the greatest sides never to win the World Cup is usually headed by the Dutch teams of the 1970s or Hungary in the 1950s. But increasingly forgotten to history is Austria's Wunder team of the 1930s, a victim of both fascism and Nazism. At the 1934 World Cup, Hugo Meisel's squad was among the favourites, after beating Italy to win the 1932 Central European International Cup and demolishing Germany both 5-0 and 6-0. But they only made it to the semi-finals, where they lost by a single goal to hosts Italy. The decision to award the goal was controversial, and not the only questionable call of a tournament used by dictator Benito Mussolini to promote fascism. Worse was to follow. Austria qualified for the 1938 World Cup in France to be staged in June of that year, but they withdrew after the Anschluss to Nazi Germany in March. Not only did Austria not compete, some of the best Austrian players were compelled to represent their invaders. But unlike Italy's triumph overseen by Mussolini, Germany would have no such good fortune, falling in the opening round to Switzerland. It was Germany's worst ever World Cup finals performance until 2018. The star player of the Wunder team was Matthias Sindelar, nicknamed the Paperman for his slight build. He won the World Cup silver ball in 1934, but refused to play for Germany in 1938. In 1939, he was found dead in Vienna of carbon monoxide poisoning that some believe was not an accident. As we go to the break, we head back to the very first World Cup in Uruguay 1930. Do you know which footballer wrote his name into trivia legend by scoring the first ever goal in a World Cup tournament? The answer up next.
Could you see a world where Duke is upset in an ACC tournament?
The fact that they're not an up and down running team half-court offense, strong guard play, dynamic inside with Boozer. I think out of all the top teams, I think Duke is the least likely to get picked off in their conference tournament.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
You put Zach Branch on the Buffalo Bills on the football field at the same time with Cook and these wide receivers, and you have Branch set up in a slot in motion and stuff, and you put that speed. I want a game difference maker. DJ Moore's not a difference maker, right? He helps, he's good, right? But it's not that game changer. But to me, Kevin, they need game changers on the defensive side of the football.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I really wish I could pull out my crystal ball and predict accurately the future and, put money on it and see if I could win. But I think the answer of where we're heading is more uncertainty, and in the short term, more companies, like you mentioned, trying to capitalize on that. When prediction markets first kind of took off this past year, there was a little bit of a hesitancy from sports books.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Well, still, even though he gave up that home run, Tom, you know the number's going to be there. If he stays healthy, who's touching that guy?
Well, you mentioned him. The only player I've interest in betting on for the AL Cy Young this year would be Brian Wu. And it's a combination of everything. It's a combination of the odds. It's a combination of his underlying skill set, where I believe he's trending in terms of his career.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Every World Cup has a story to tell. From the majesty of Maradona to the flamboyance of France. Capturing the imagination of billions across the globe. This is football's greatest stage.
Ball passes to Hurst, and he scores England's third.
Diego Armando Maradona, the defining footballer of the 1980s. The man who single-handedly won a World Cup, dominating football's greatest stage like nobody else, before or since. Maradona's destiny was written at an early age. Raised in poverty in the slums of Buenos Aires, the prodigy was never without a ball at his feet. He was the quintessential street footballer. Diego Sr. was convinced his boy was special, and he formed a junior football side, Estrella Rojo, to prove it. He was right. At 10, Maradona was scouted by Los Cebolitas, the youth team of Argentinos juniors. They won 136 games in a row. Maradona's reward was a professional debut, aged just 15 years and 355 days, the youngest ever in the Primera División. Barely 4 months later, he was breaking records for the national team, coming on in the 62nd minute against Hungary on February 27, 1977. But Argentina coach Cesar Menotti resisted calls to add the youngster to the victorious 1978 World Cup squad, with the teenager making only sporadic appearances until his first goal against Scotland in 1979. By the 1982 World Cup, the now 21-year-old was the talisman of La Albiceleste. It made him a marked man in an era when defenders were given free rein to commit grievous bodily harm. In Spain, everything went through him, and that included